I'm just getting me tape
When?
deck going because it's all connected to the phone, you know.
All right.
So, how are you enjoying England?
Well, I'm not in England. I'm in Stockholm.
Oh, are you?
Yeah, sure.
How come? I thought you were coming to the UK.
Well, you know, the thing is, 50% of all the interviews scheduled for England was telephone interviews, and it's a waste of time and money to sit in a hotel room doing a lot of interview stuff from a hotel room, the expenses and all that shit.
Yeah, yeah.
Plus, we have some extra time in the studio whenever we like to try out some ideas for the summer, and before, there's an industrial holiday and everything, so we'd rather spend this week in the studio to work out some new ideas, so...
Understand.
Yeah, I'll come to England whenever,
Yeah, I quite understand. So I suppose the main subject is obviously the new, well, not new, but the Blood and Ice album. Yeah?
Well, let's say the new release.
That's it, the new release. So when, by the sounds of it, this was originally, I presume, going to be released between Blood, Fire, Death and Hammerheart, yeah?
Yeah, right.
So how comes that never came?
Well, it's a concept album, and I don't know, I think you're old enough to remember what happened back in the 80s and everything,
Yeah.
The fad and the image discussions and stuff.
Yeah.
It was a pretty big risk, for a band like Bathory to release a concept album.
Understand.
It could have turned out to be The Elder Part 2,
Yeah.
And we had wised up a little bit, realizing that, yeah, sure, it was a pretty risky thing. But now we've reached a completely different level, career-wise and legendary-wise, so we can afford to release it nowadays, particularly since 50% of all the potential record buyers are into the epic stuff that we...
Yeah, not many. That's right. Because it sounded to me like an up-tempo version of Twilight of the Gods. I suppose if I would compare that Blood and Ice to any of your albums, it's closer to Twilight. Would you agree with that? Although it's more up-tempo.
Well, I think it's a lot closer to Hammerheart than Twilight.
Yeah?
But because, at least lyric-wise, snow, swords and muscles and blah, blah, blah,
Yeah.
Twilight was a very introverted, depressive record. And it was very, very different from anything else we did before.
That's right, it was. There's a mighty album that was, I suppose, the Twilight followed on from that, yeah?
Well, it was, like I said, a very introverted and depressive record. And myself personally, halfway through the recording, I figured this was it, because I didn't have more ideas, and I realized that we'd painted ourselves into a corner.
Yeah.
We'd never be able to produce a 365 beats per minute type of thrash or death shit after that.
I understand. And was any of the songs that were penned in the sessions for Blood and Ice, did any of them actually get to appear on Hammerheart or Twilight?
Well, at the time, in between Blood, Fire, Death and Hammerheart, we worked on this album, all this material, during 3 different sessions. And at the end of one of those sessions, we actually recorded some of this basic material at the same time as we recorded the material for Hammerheart.
Yeah.
So once we had actually scrapped the idea of releasing this concept album, Blood and Ice, we tossed with the idea of why don't we put out a double album? Because at the time we were sitting there with 25 tracks, 30 tracks all of a sudden. And I believe Metallica had released a double album. It was an ordinary album, but it was,
The Justice for All one, was that?
Well, it was an ordinary album, but they'd cut it in sort of like 33 bits per minute, so they had 2 tracks on one side only.
Yeah.
Okay, but it was a double album. It would have been a very costly affair, and not too many people would have, been able to afford a double album by a band like Bathory. They'd rather buy the best of Black Sabbath or something.
Understand. Yeah. Do your albums sell well in places like Japan and America?
In America, we have it sort of like a cult status, but I think they consider more image to be a much more important thing than music. So whenever I've done 252 interviews now this past month, I spent 1 week in Canada, 1 week in the United States, and 2 weeks in Germany making interviews for Europe. So
it's a lot, isn't it?
Yeah, well, each and every time when someone comes up to me, or when I get in touch with someone over the phone, and says, "Hey, buddy, I didn't think you never got you guys did interviews." And I say, "Fuck you." like I said, in the United States, they tend to be more interested in what's in your mind than what comes out of your fucking guitar.
Understand.
Japan, I have no figures for Japan. The last figure I heard was something like 5,500, which is not too good, I think.
No.
But for a band like who's never toured since January 1985, it's pretty good.
Alright, it is. Have you ever been approached by like a major label? I'm sure you must have.
Yeah.
Or are you quite happy?
Well, I remember the last big one was Geffen Records. They wanted to give us a 6-digit figure in dollars, and they said no, thank you.
Really?
Because I didn't want to wind up being a number in the fucking catalog. Just
understand. Yeah.
We want to be an underground band still. You know, we never make any big line merchandise productions or anything like that.
No, I know, and this I suppose all concerns around the your lack of touring. Is this a personal choice from you?
Yeah.
It is. Would you feel comfortable on a live stage?
I would have, being 16 or 17 or 18, but being closer to 31 than 16, it's, I mean, the last time was in January 1985, like I said, and that's 11 years ago.
Yeah.
So it would just be a waste of respect, you know, taking this thing onto stage. And 80% of everything we've ever done on record is virtually impossible to reproduce on stage anyway.
I understand.
And who the hell wants to see Bathory walk on stage dressed in sneakers, jeans, and t-shirts and say, hey guys, remember the 80s, we're going to play some old songs, you know? That would be like fucking their image of what Bathory is all about.
You've certainly maintained that image for so long, which many bands will. I can't think of a band that has got the image that Bathory have. So I suppose you must be pretty pleased with that.
What kind of image is that?
It's like a distant image. You kept the from when I remember the first 2 albums. You're still that kind of image to me. Yeah. It's very hard to explain.
Yeah, well, it came out of the necessity. I mean, when we made interviews the first couple of years with fanzines, when they asked for pictures, and although you may have a lineup together, you knew these guys wasn't going to be in the band for the next couple of months anyway, you know, because, you know, you remember the early 80s, Bon Jovi, Motley Crue, and Quorthon and all that.
Mm-hmm.
Whenever there was a new bass player coming in down the rehearsal place, he would wear eyeliner and smell of perfume, and I'd say, hey, guys, you better buckle up and wear at least 1 square feet of studded leather, you know, prepare to sweat. And he said, that's not the way to get a gig or get laid afterwards or get a record contract. And I said, that's not the point. Mm-hmm. And whenever there was pictures out, it was all my pictures, my answers to the questions.
That's right.
And even though by 87 or 88, I was very comfortable with the lineup situation.
With warmth and...
Oh, whatever names they picked. I can't even... I don't mind. I don't bother. And by that time, I realized, of course, that people were drawn to the band because of the mysteriousness and lack of pictures and information.
Yeah.
And people had started to make up their own minds what Bathory was all about.
That's right.
That is like nowadays when I come up with stuff like the solo album and Regular and Octagon. You don't mention Satan once.
No.
And when you show up, you know, at in-stores and stuff, you don't wear your spiked leather underwear, you know, and people say, hey man, you're dragging the name Bathory in the dirt. And I said, like, hey, come on, I am Bathory. Fuck you.
I agree. I thought the solo album was different, but good. Yeah.
Well, it's changed over the last couple of years. Now people talk about Bathory as legends and godfathers and founders of whatever, you know.
Always. That's right.
And it's like
it's true.
Stop making new albums because, you know, we want the old albums to be what Bathory's all about. And I say, well, listen to the old album. They're always going to be around, you know.
Yeah. Have you ever thought of... I know you've done a video once and it got lost, yeah?
I hope it did, yeah.
You're not thinking of presenting yourself on the screen on a video at all?
Well, who the hell's going to be in there?
That's true.
I mean, give me the money and studio and 24 hours and you'll have a video for every song, for every album you ever make. But, you know, the point with videos is you produce a video, you spend a certain amount of time and money, and you send it away to, I guess Headbangers Ball, and it's viewed 1:30 on Sunday midnight or something.
Yeah, that's right.
And people have to go to school, have to go to work, so if they're not taping the shit, they just miss the shit altogether. And once it aired 2 or 3 times, it gets a little tag, and it says aired or shown.
That's right, yeah.
And it just collects dust on a shelf somewhere, and it's just a waste of money. You don't sell it anymore. You know, people into your band, they're gonna get your whole of your record anyway.
That is correct.
Videos is just another way of expression, and once you have to spend, I mean, today there are 200 releases, extreme heavy metal oriented music releases every day around the world, 200 CDs. And for a band to sell, say, 10,000, that's very, very good if you're a new band.
Yeah.
And the amount of money these guys will make from this debut album, regardless if they make concerts or not, is the same money they will have to spend for one video. So why spend all that money? I mean, Madonna and Michael Jackson can spend money because they are very different kind of artists, you know.
Yes. That's a good way of looking at it.
Yeah, because big line merchandise productions, videos and concerts is not the point. Music is the point. The music will always be the same.
I agree. So, concerning your love of classical music, have you ever thought of putting like an orchestra on a future Bathory release? Because I know you're always looking for something different.
Well, with Bathory, we had a string quartet on the soul album, and we've had trumpets and trombones and bronze horns and stuff like that. But just as sound effects. I quit actually listening to classical music some years ago. After 8 years, that was enough, you know.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, because, you know, I mean, you sort of like seclude yourself off for everything with just, you know, from distorted guitars and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I lost everything. I lost the nerve and everything, to the point when I actually didn't touch the thing for 2 years. I mean, the guitar, that is.
Yeah. Have you ever been approached to play in other bands or do some, like, backing vocals or write music for anybody else?
Oh, always.
Yeah?
And I figure once it would probably be a very good way to sort of like pay back using my name to help draw attention to new bands, you know.
Yeah.
To if not producers, so at least being involved in other bands' projects. I mean, a new band releasing the CD. If I can use my name to draw the attention to this band, if I enjoy the band myself, it would be a treat, you know.
Yeah. Are you involved in Black Mark Productions?
No, I'm just a guitar player, actually.
Yeah.
No, but it would be a very, very good way. I mean, but then I figured, what the hell? There are so many record companies around. Black Mark is always around anyway, so...
That's right.
And just being alive, you know, I draw attention to the label and to the other bands, you know, indirectly, so...
Yeah. So music is your life. You're quite... You don't have to do anything else. I suppose you've made a living out of Bathory, yeah?
Well, for the past 2 years, that's actually been the case.
Good.
Because all the money has been able to, you know, it takes a long time to collect all the money throughout the world, and, you know, there was never any good intercontinental organization taking care of that bit before. Whereas now, it's very, you know, within a week after the album is released, you will have your figures on a piece of paper, you know.
And of all the songwriting, like the lyric writing and the actual creating of an album, is there any particular parts that you enjoy the most?
Yeah, the last couple of days before you enter the studio, and when you have everything completed, I mean, songs and lyrics and solos and everything, you know exactly how to record it, and you know exactly how you want it to sound like when it's all there on tape. Whereas when you get into the studio, that's just work, and then you have the mixing stage, that's a drag.
Yeah.
The last couple of 2 or 3 days before you actually enter the studio, when you stand there in your living room and playing your guitar for the last couple of times before you actually enter the studio, that is like sort of like a wank off.
Yeah.
All the rest is just like wiping up.
I know what you mean. That's the same kind of thing with the magazine on a smaller scale, you know.
Yeah. But it's the same process.
It is. Yeah. And the next, I presume, is the next release going to be another solo album?
People have asked me to, and I've said sure, given that I have the time, and we have some time now before the industrial holiday, so I'm going to try a few ideas, and if that will happen, it'll be sometime in October, and before then, hopefully, I will have enough ideas for the next album.
Have you thought of covering any songs at all?
Well, we covered Kiss on Octagon, simply because we realized there wasn't enough time for an hour. So we just put one fun thing there, which was actually just a recorded rehearsal, but I added lead guitar and vocals and bass on.
Yeah. That's as I say, the last two albums are very different. You've already explained why, because obviously you thought you'd go as far as you could go with the original approach. Is the next or the future Bathory releases going to be on them same lines, or are you feeling you can't release a Octagon and Requiem are pretty similar in their approach? Yeah.
Yeah, well, they're very similar in the sense that we, after so many years going into the studio using 16 tracks only for backing harmony vocals, and big drums and arranged metal, you get very bored, and you ask yourself, what the fuck happened to, that punch in your stomach? So you just go in there, like drunken teenagers, and
that's
and just have great fun, just blast off, go in there and fart, and then get out of there.
That's
no
how
production or anything.
It comes across in that kind of you're having a fun mode kind of way,
Yeah, it's like kicking some asshole up down the street, It's just, you just go in there and have great fun.
And that's what you're going to do on the next Bathory release?
No.
You've got a secret plan, eh?
I don't know shit, about the next one. I only know it's going to have to be something very special.
Yeah.
Because after two death metal albums, or whatever you want to call them, Requiem and Octagon, and I realized the epic metal fans of Bathory, because 50% of our record buyers or potential record buyers are into the epic, whereas the other 50% are into the death. So no matter what your album sounds like, you will have half of your fans disappointed.
Yeah.
And then now I figured, okay, so people have known about this album for quite some time, and I spend all this time, like probably 5 weeks, putting this album together, or patching it up a little bit, beating it up. The next album cannot be an epic or a death metal album. It's going to have to be something in between, or something completely different.
Good Lord. That must rack your brains a bit, eh?
Yeah, well, it's going to have to be something really, really fresh. Because, I mean, it's not good to sit here after 14 years and have people tell you, you should not use Bathory's name to produce this or that shit,
Yeah.
And I say, fuck you, I am Bathory.
So you don't feel under pressure from the music press who expect something of you?
Oh, the press I don't give a fuck about, because, I mean, for a person to sit down and review your album, I mean, come on, he's living in his mom and dad's place, he's 28 years old, he hasn't fucked his girlfriend for a week, his mom died, his toast is born, his day is ruined. And even if he would have been giving the album Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band, the review would be appalling,
Yeah.
I mean, and if 200,000 people are going to listen to one person's ideas about something, whether it's an idea or politics, religion, or an album, we have the Führer principle all over again,
Mm-hmm.
And that's not the way music functions, Music is an instant moment, it's like a good glass of whiskey.
Yeah,
it's an experience, and who the hell to sit there and read in a magazine what a good glass of whiskey smells and tastes like, experience it yourself.
That's right. And are you aware of especially in the epic, like Viking metal, there's a whole black metal obviously has expanded and exploded in the past couple of years.
Yeah, it came the last 3 or 4 years or something.
Yeah, and now it's all the bashing and all the silly church burnings and the racist remarks. They seem to be distancing themselves and slowing down, and they really are coming out with that kind of Bathory feel to it, And I don't know if you're aware of this.
Well, I didn't know shit about it until I came to England to promote or to actually explain why there was a soul album out. I can't remember what this was, 1983 or something. And I didn't know shit because there wasn't anything in the Swedish press. So I said, okay, tell me about them. And they said, okay, these guys are all Bathory fans. They claim your lyrics and your music to be the main inspiration source to their actions.
Yeah.
And they're copying everything you did, actually mixing both the Satanic and the Viking shit.
That's right.
And I said, okay, so what? I mean, for a guy to walk into a supermarket with a semi-automatic machine gun, having read the Bible a little too carefully, I mean, who are you going to blame, the Bible or the church? Or we cannot take responsibility for fucked up people's actions,
That's right.
A crime is a crime no matter who commits it.
I understand. That's very true. But it's funny because now they're trying to pretend it never happened because they realise there's a market for the music they're playing, and that kind of the stuff they started out with is holding them back because they realise the majority of the people don't give a shit about all that crap, you know?
Well, it was an isolated case happening in Norway, and Norway is a very conservative country, and people are still referring to it. I mean, talking about it a little too much now, even 5 years later, you know, it's like, it's stupid.
It is. I totally agree. It is.
It doesn't have anything to do with music. I mean, nowadays people don't talk about an album being released 5 years ago. They only talk about this gay person being killed 5 years ago, or whatever it was, you know. You're blowing out of proportions. It doesn't have this great importance. It's not important. I mean, a crime is a crime.
You're right. It's not important.
I mean, for having those kind of ideas you touched about on that topic a little bit before. For wearing war paint and 5 feet long hair, you'd be the first guys to go to the gas chamber anyway, you know. So who the hell are they to stand up there and scream, you know, whatever, you know, wearing that shit in their face and with that long hair. I mean, first of all, in a society like that, you're going to be able to play guitar anyway, you know, having long hair, makeup in your face. So
yes,
there's a time for each and every one of us to wise up. There's this big generation gap. I mean, these guys, their average age is around 18, 19, 20, and I fought the band 14 years ago. You have to be very humble and polite when you get in touch with these people, because there's a generation gap.
Yeah, I've noticed that as well. Are you the bands? Do you like Kiss at all?
Well, it was a big thing. I mean, early 70s. I guess I got in touch with that in January '75 or something. January, February '75. So that's 21 years ago.
Yeah, it's a long time, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because they're headlining Donington this year, aren't they?
Oh yeah, what a pity.
Yeah, they're all coming. Even Venom have been doing the Dynamo Festival. I've heard.
Yeah, but the whole thing is that they left those chaps. They just don't understand that people have bought the tickets to go there and have a great laugh.
Yes.
That's the problem, and I feel sorry about it.
Have you ever met Kronos and all that?
No, he called me a dickhead, and after that I wasn't too sure whether he was...
He didn't.
He did. And, but I mean, it's not important. The thing is, there's room for each and every one of us out there.
Of course.
For someone to call another musician a dickhead, even before even having met this person, I think that's just a sign of, what's the word, envy, or competitive, you know.
Yeah, I'm surprised at that. But then again, I suppose he always was a man for coming out with strange statements, you know.
Yeah, but still, the music is... I mean, I've said a lot of stupid things throughout the years anyway, myself personally. But the music is always the important thing, you know.
Yes. Do you, everyone collects things. Do you collect something?
Yeah, books and airplanes, and videos and airplanes and stuff. Everything that's got anything to do with bits and engine airplanes. I'm actually sitting here reading a book on the Lancaster right now.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, you like all the World War II planes and blah, blah. Yeah, I don't mind. So you like the Spitfire?
Sure.
It's a fine plane, isn't it?
Yeah, well, I always said that, okay, remember what it did. Remember the numbers of the bloody thing that was around when they were mostly needed.
Yes.
But, you know, there was a lot of things with the construction that wasn't, you know, tip-top 100%, you know, as far as the 109 is concerned.
That was an awesome fighter as well, wasn't it?
Yeah, but I mean, the narrow undercarriage, everybody's talking about the narrow undercarriage. As far as the 109 is concerned, the Spit had the same problem, but they never talk about it because it's a legend.
That's right, of course. Yeah.
As well as the lack of, you know, range and there was another problem with the oil cooler as well.
Yes, because I think, what did they... It's the, was it the Tempest or the Typhoon, I think, had a longer range than the Spitfire or the Hurricane.
Yeah, even the first Tornado in 1938, the one that turned out to be the Tempest later on.
Mm-hmm.
Even the Tornado was a very beautiful aircraft, manufactured into samples.
Excellent. I didn't know you were interested in planes. Have you flown one?
Oh, it's too expensive.
Is it?
Well, of course. I mean, traffic airliners, that's one thing, but that's just going from point A to point B. I mean, there's I was actually talking to one of the passengers last time I was in New York, flying back home to Stockholm, and I realized pilots must. I mean, we have this idea about pilots, very glamorous kind of occupation, but after some time you realize they're only just bus drivers.
Yeah. I never looked at it like that. Have you ever thought of trying to learn to fly one of these old fighter planes?
Well, first of all, you need licensing. You need a blue card. And in Sweden, that would cost me about 150,000 crowns.
Oh, Christ. A lot of money.
Yeah.
So it's just a dream for now.
Well, it's a dream. I mean, you can fly the bloody thing in RC anyway. RC aircraft and model assembly aircraft and stuff. Books and stuff.
Do you like all the films and all the the World at War programs that document all this?
I've taped all of the programs that were shown on BBC Prime throughout the winter now, so I have all the 32 episodes.
Excellent. Yes, I'm a great interest in all the machineries. So excellent, eh?
So that's one of the bad things about not going to London this weekend to do all this promotion is I'm missing out on the Hendon Air Museum and the Imperial War Museum.
Yeah, excellent places. That's right. Yeah.
So I've been to London, I guess, 10 times now, and every time I get over there, I always make sure to have at least 1 or 2 days off to go and see those places.
Excellent places as well. So when are you coming to the UK?
This weekend was cancelled because 50% of all the interviews was phone interviews, and it's a waste of money to do them from hotel rooms. So I guess perhaps in a couple of weeks then, or next month.
Yeah. I suppose I could have. Luckily, I suppose, that I didn't arrange to come down, because that would have been my downfall, wouldn't it?
Yeah, that's good. You didn't arrange to come down because you would have bought tickets or whatever already. But why don't you stay in touch with the British or the Stockholm or the Berlin office in case you want to team up or something like that in a couple of weeks or whenever.
Yeah. As I say, if you're going to go for one of your museum jaunts, that'll be a perfect time because I'll right next to London,
Great.
And I've got the interview, so you won't be nagged to death.
Because I was in Toronto 2 weeks ago, and they had a Lancaster Mark II a display by the airport, and it was beautiful.
They are absolutely fine plane, I think. Yeah.
Because they have some problem with the undercarriage now during the Battle of Britain Memorial flight pod. Bypass flight.
Yep.
And I think they fixed the left undercarriage now.
I say this is this summer season. There's normally air shows all over the place.
Yeah. Oh God, shit, man! I wish I had the money.
Well, yeah. I suppose England's the place to go for all that kind of thing.
Yeah. The best bookstores, the best museums, and the best air shows and everything, and blah, blah, blah. Over here we don't have anything. The last time there was a split or a Mustang in Sweden was in 1988, I believe. We had a Mustang over here.
There, that is a big fighter, isn't it? I thought so. I don't know if I was looking at the wrong angle, but I thought the Mustang was a big fighter.
Yeah, but the thing is, actually, Lancaster crews shot down more German airplanes than the Mustangs did.
Really?
That's the goddamn honest truth. British bomber, defensive gunmen shot down more fighters than P-51s did. That's true.
Yeah, I suppose I've read. Yeah, I suppose the Mustang wasn't very didn't maneuver well in the air. It had speed and height, I think.
Yeah, but you cannot combine the two things. It had to slow down to be very maneuverable because of the very, very narrow wings. And it had a very, very poor center of balance because of the big air cooling intake.
Yes. Yes.
And it had to slow down very much. And when it slowed down very much, and also didn't have any armor, as with the Spitfire and the Hurricane.
Mm-hmm.
So it was very easy to shoot down.
Excellent. Well, I've gone through me questions now. I'm going to say I could sit and talk to you about this for hours, but I'm sure you've got a lot of other things to do, man.
Only 7 lined up for today.
Hey?
Yeah.
Excellent.
Great.
Well, thank you very much.
Okay, Chris.
Excellent. And as I say, hopefully, Black Markham, I don't know if you've seen a copy of my zine yet. I suppose there's so many about in there. All these
80% of everything the magazines are always printed in foreign language, so the only language I understand is Swedish, Norwegian, and English. So.
Well, you'll be right with mine. So Godreah is the name. I'm sure you know that.
Yeah.
And they've got one in Black Mark, so.
I'll make sure to check it out.
Well, you have a lovely day.
Okay, thanks, Chris.
Which I'm sure you will. Thanks very much for calling. Yeah.
Okay, take care, Chris.
Excellent. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.